right. I'm that low cuz I live this true life. Can't tell me shit, I've been living this blue life. Way of life, all it is to fight. Blue flag to the left while the folks going right. I'm that low cuz I live this true life. Can't tell me shit, I've been living this blue life.
He didn't like Raymond the type. He didn't like nobody being bullied and, taken advantage of.
Big Crowbar was kind of picking on my mother and my aunties. So they called my dad. My dad tried to run him off the road and beat him up. But Big Crowbar was a piece of a little bitty guy, though. So pretty sure he couldn't mess with them hands anyway.
And so you mad about the real history? Because if you knew about gangbanging in our history came to take care of our neighborhoods where people was coming in robbing our elders for their first and 15th check, and Raymond made that note, we're gonna take care of our own hoods. Ain't nobody coming to rob our elders. That's what Raymond put down. Now ask everybody about that, and we start securing our neighborhoods on the 1st and 15th, motherfuckers wasn't coming to rob our elders for their checks.
And it started to be about that, protection. And everybody up under one roof, under one common goal. Protection, protect your area.
When we was the little Negroes, if I can't whoop you, I know somebody who can. I ain't got no shame and I'm going to get it. Then I'm the same group of people who they developed. He taught me how to punch the bag. He taught me things. He taught me things.
What's cracking? What's rolling YouTube? It's your Loke, Phantom Loke, aka Silk the Lokester, and this is Keeping It 3100. So that's just a snippet of a documentary that just dropped about Raymond Lee Washington, the founder of this Crip organization, the C Machine. So let's jump right into it. The documentary is called The Boy Who Built an Army, and you can watch it on OG Network. Personally, I watched it from my phone and all that, but it was a very good brief documentary. You know what I'm saying? It really talks about Raymond's character and the purpose. It goes back to the roots of this community revolution in progress, community restoration in progress, community reform, inter-party service, community rising, infantry progression. You know, it was a pretty good documentary. It was pretty deep as well, you know. And I like how you had many different individuals talk about how it was put together, what was the cause. That was the main thing. Talking about the cause of this thing, because, you know, you have people that's not in our culture and not our lifestyle talking about, oh, all Crips do, especially back in the DMV area, DC. But that person has no reason to talk because they the same kind of individuals that say that we don't have that here. But anyway, the purpose and the cause is to protect our people, our elderly and all that, and then our youngsters, you know what I'm saying, the kids in the community and all that, from outside threats and all, as you just heard and all. That was the cause. And to be honest with you, from the day I first started cripping and all that, the day I first picked up that blue flag to this point, that's always been my cripping. You know what I'm saying? That's what, that was one of the things that got my attention in the first place, because as I said, the morals and principles of Crip reflected me as an individual person outside of Crip. Because, you know, you're a man first or a woman first before, you know what I'm saying, what you identify as and all that stuff. And what I mean by that is like Crip, Blood, Folk, Nation of Islam, etc., etc. When I was reading and learning about the history of the Crips, and that part was mentioned, I realized I've always been like that way before. You know, I've always wanted to help, always wanted to protect, always wanted to defend the weak.
people need to understand that it wasn't just about the gang culture. It was about protecting the community from like the racism and everything like the Black Panther Party was doing. I think Raymond was trying to do that as well with the Crip organization. I don't think he knew that it would get this big like that. So for me, I think it was more or less for the community, protect your community.
Now, just like the organization itself in general, myself got misled, started taking the power for granted and all that, you know. But I think what's happening now is we're learning from our mistakes and we're getting more humble and all that. And we are evolving and changing with the times. Especially because back in those days, especially during the late 70s and 80s and 90s, it was all about survival of the fittest. I personally believe something happened with greed, power tripping, and just trying to see who's the baddest, to the point where it was so much to the point where we as a whole was cursed. And now what's happening now is we are learning from our mistakes and we're trying to get back to the original program, which is protection. We got a long ways to go. It's a lot of damage that was done because and caused from us. I'm not gonna lie, I'm man and crip enough to admit we've destroyed, as a whole, we've destroyed a lot of lives and a lot of people because of the wars and battles that we gotten into and all that. But, it was just a different time back then. And then eventually that was like, say the next generation catched on and all that. And then, but yeah, it was sad about what happened to Raymond. It was sad what happened to Tookie. It's sad what happened to a lot of founders. Craig Craddock, it's sad because if they were still alive today, honestly, I would believe, we wouldn't be as segregated and complicated as we are to this day, because honestly, a lot of people don't like us Crips. I mean, you got a lot of people that do, and we are very influential. I mean, look, it's overseas and it's in different countries and all that. So of course people, they're infatuated, I should say. But what I mean is that say, like, I'll give you an example, like in the DC area, DMV and all that, people always want to bring up that DC and LA shit, but that's not the shit I'm talking about. I'm just talking about just in general. Because they're, for decades, it was us Crips, and then you have them Bloods and all that. And then you have the natives, which are like the non-affiliates, but they regular street cats and all that shit. And then civilians and all. Non-affiliates and street cats and civilians, they always have some shit to say when it comes to us. Not much so as for the Bloods and all that. In fact, when it came down to it, especially back when I first started, what I noticed that if it came down to it, they would side with the Bloods first before they even, side with us or fuck with us or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, and even now more so than ever and all that stuff, we they don't fuck with us. They really don't. I don't give a shit. None of us give a shit. But what I'm trying to say is, it's bad enough in general us Crips don't even like each other. Depending on what's said, what kind of Crip you are, you know what I'm saying? You got the hoodsters and the gangsters for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Don't fuck with each other. The Rollins and the gangsters for the most part, keyword, most part, don't fuck with each other and all that. You got the Hoovers, which are, mainly criminals, which is another identity and all that. But then you got two gangs of Hoovers, two sets of Hoovers that are Hoover Gangster Crips and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? They really stick to themselves. They don't really fuck with anybody like that. They have certain sets that they do, you know what I'm saying, they fuck with and all that shit, but they like more to themselves and all that shit. And then you have, basically, we're us Crips as a whole, the organization is so divided. And us as a people, we are so divided. You know what I'm saying? We're not really unified like that, except under certain cars. You got the Roland, you know what I'm saying? You got I would say the Rich Rollins, you know what I'm saying? We're the most unified and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? West Side Roland, 30s to the hundreds. You know what I'm saying? Even though we not neighbors, we Harlems. But the 40s and, you know what I'm saying, 50s, 60s, et cetera, you know what I'm saying? But the O's, we more unified and all that stuff, in my opinion. And I believe so's the Mafias, I believe. But, yeah, just as a whole, we're so very divided. And right now, we're just trying to get back to our original cause and all that. Clean up our act, as some would say. Some people in my life told me, you're fighting a losing battle. You know what I'm saying? You're wasting your time, this, that, and third and all that shit. But as I always say, a man gotta stand for something and fight for it, or he'll fall for anything and die as nothing. And I believe that's not just the cause, but one of my purposes in this life is to be part of that. Bring Crip back to its original cause. You know, because like I said, I've always been on that type of time and that protection and all that stuff. It was never about having power over everybody else and, like, you know what I'm saying, do whatever I want to do and taking advantage of that power. It was never about that with me. And, you know, you have Crips overseas that are infatuated because of shit that they've seen in TV and music videos and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to say something that a good top hat told me. Shout out to my top hats from my street to your street. You know what I'm saying? He told me, yeah, you could choose this shit, but for real, this shit chooses you. And what I've noticed that everything ever since like middle school and all that stuff, I felt like it always chose me because there were just signs and hints and just like intuition and all that. And yeah, I tried other things, you know what I'm saying, sports and all that sort of shit, but it just didn't really gravitate towards me as this. And every time something always fails, every single time something didn't, you know what I'm saying, go through, this was always there. This was always around. This was always, you know what I'm saying, around me. You know? And then once the opportunity presented itself for me to become official, and in order to be official, you gotta be down with the set. So before I was just affiliated, I was just claiming Crip, especially because family, you know? That nigga Ant Glizzy said, oh, you just went to an ice cream truck and just got your flag, this, that, and third. Like, where did it come from? Your dad wasn't a blood. Your uncle was a blood. Your cousins were blood. Well, motherfucker. For me, I have family that are Crips. I have cousins that are Crips. My cousins are my dad's brother's kids. One of his brother's kids. So you don't think that shit was going to come in my veins as well? You don't think that Crip shit was going to be running in my blood? I've always walked like a Crip, talked like a Crip, rolled like a Crip. Everything about me says Crip. Nothing about me says anything else. For those that, especially for those that actually know me and all that. You know? Even back in the day, I used to walk around with a limp. It was a body language. It wasn't even me trying. It was a body language, but motherfuckers used to call me for that shit. especially those that say they was that, but they weren't really that. But little did they know it was a body language to identify that we are that. I'm old school in my cribbing. I ain't really with this new shit. But like I said, this is not just what I am, this is who I am. I'm part of that army. This is my identity. This is my philosophy. This is why I live, breathe, and yeah, fight and die for. As I say, a man gotta stand for something and fight for it, or fall for anything and die as nothing. Blood's doing the same thing. Growth and GD's doing the same thing. Everything, every creed, skinhead, Confederate, SA, and what I mean by SA, I meant like Sereno, MS, 18, Norteño, anybody you could think of. Even the police. One thing that separates us from regular people, civilians, hell, you can even throw in the Nation of Islam, you know what I'm saying, religious groups. One thing I will say is this. One thing we all have in common is that we believe in something and we fighting for it. You know what I'm saying? One thing that separates us from civilians is a certain code that we go by. It's a certain, you know what I'm saying? It's code of conduct. It's morals and principles that we stand on. And this fool talking about DC and DMV is really a lawless state, and what you mean by that is motherfuckers just doing what they want to do. Well, that's probably the reason why y'all niggas, especially y'all YNs, are just so fucking out of control to the point that they need more than just a belt to the ass and all that. Maybe if they had that fucking discipline, maybe if they had this, that, and third, maybe, you know what I'm saying, shit could be entirely different and all that. Maybe motherfuckers will actually have common sense. Motherfuckers out there are just certified crash outs, and I ain't got time to be fucking around with no damn crash outs. That's for sure. Never had, never will. Yeah, I seen that shit. So, but now the big question is this.
No reply. CR, one eye, one legend, one guy, one leader, no lie. Undisputed, no reply. CR, one eye, one legend, one guy, one leader, no lie. Undisputed, no reply.
Blue flag to the left while the folks going right. I'm that low cuz I live this true life. Can't tell me shit, I've been living this blue life. A way of life, all it is to fight. Blue flag to the left while the folks going right. I'm that low cuz I live this true life. Can't tell me shit, I've been living this blue life. Community revolution in progress. Community restoration in progress. Throw your blue flags up. See, walk to this. See, walk to this. Correct to this. You know the biz. 1969 to the end of existence. That 1930s gang. Dirt gang.